Hello everyone, I'm Ben Way. Welcome to WorldPlayHQ, your home for expert analysis and match previews as we help you track your World Cup brackets. Since our last show, a five-time champion was sent packing, two global superstars bid us farewell, we have a golden boot battle for the ages, a yellow card and broken arm for a guy who didn't even play, and red card controversies to boot. This tournament really has it all. Joining me to go through it all, we have Yasin Sadeghi, a Norwegian-based content creator and occasional pro wrestler, and Lewis Brady, Iran's representative in the DAZN 48. Good to see you, gents. What's it like in Norway at the moment, Yasin? It must be absolutely mental.
When I say that I've hugged more strangers the last couple of weeks than I've done in my 28 years previously, I'm not lying. It's absolutely amazing here. People are hugging everybody, and I mean, I'm sat here with the kit, with the scarf, and I'm in a joyous mood, as you can see on the screen. It's absolutely fantastic in Norway right now.
You lap it up. We're going to discuss that win against Brazil a little bit later on. We are going to start with Spain, though, given we can't focus on Iran and the Socceroos as the other two on the show lament. The vast majority of brackets had them progressing Spain through to the quarterfinals at Portugal's expense, and that's exactly how it played out. Substitute Mikel Merino scored in the 90th minute to end Portugal's run. It wasn't a clinical performance, but they're still yet to concede a goal in the tournament. They'll meet Belgium on Friday in Los Angeles. The Belgians ensured all three host nations went out in the round of 16, thrashing the US 4-1. What did you make of Spain's performance, Lewis?
Yeah, I mean, was it the most exciting football match I've watched in my life? No. Did it live up to the billing? No. I think the main takeaways from the match, obviously, a sixth consecutive clean sheet for Spain. Not a lot of highlights. They kind of reminded me a bit of the Arsenal of international football. Don't concede too many chances, solid defensive display, chuck on Mikel Merino as a substitute to get a late winner. But I guess the main story is the fact that Cristiano's left us.
I take it you're not an Arsenal fan, by the way.
Certainly not.
Portugal's exit, as you touched on, officially ended Cristiano's hopes of lifting the most prized trophy in world football. It's hard to imagine a World Cup without the likes of Modric, Neymar and Ronaldo, Yasin. It's the end of an era, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's sad to see because these are players that millions of fans have looked upon as role models and icons. And for me personally, I love Luka Modric and his inspiring story. And I would lie if I said that I wasn't a little bit emotional when Croatia went out in particular. So it is what it is. New legends will arrive, but the ones leaving us now will never be forgotten. And understandably so, it is a sad time for fans of those players.
I dare say a few have already arrived, and we'll touch on some of them a little bit later. Portugal's World Cup record in the Ronaldo era. Now, it never quite reached the great heights that some expected. In 2006, he scored his first of 11 World Cup goals at just 21 years of age. Portugal finished fourth on that occasion. The future looked bright, but that was followed by a round of 16 elimination 4 years later and a group stage exit in Brazil. Russia was his most productive tournament, 4 goals in 4 appearances, but again, they exited in the round of 16. That was followed by a quarter-final exit in Qatar, a tournament he scored just the 1 goal, and this a round of 16 defeat as well. How do you reflect upon his World Cup career, Lewis?
Yeah, I think the fact we're even having the discussion of how do I reflect on Ronaldo's World Cup career shows that he didn't quite live up to the heights that we probably want him to reach. Listen, he's played in, 6 consecutive World Cups. He's scored in every single one of them. What an incredible achievement. But you can't help but have a bit of a bitter taste left in your mouth when you think this is his last tournament and the way that he went out. But yeah, listen, an absolute legend of the game. I still think when it comes down to his World Cup performances, I believe this was his first ever knockout goal in a World Cup tournament was in Portugal's last game, right? So yeah, he's never quite lived up to the billing in a World Cup sense, but still an absolute legend of the game.
Absolutely. Actually, the first goal or assist in the knockout phase of a World Cup. So that does speak volumes. There has been widespread criticism of manager Roberto Martinez for leaving him on the pitch against Spain, so much so that he's now quit as Portugal manager, which is an interesting development. As for Spain, they'll now face Belgium, who were miles too strong for the US. It's almost like the pre-game Balogun controversy galvanised the Belgian team. Yassine, was that the best performance of their tournament thus far?
By far. In the group stages, they didn't impress me at all. They didn't look like a side that I even thought would beat US, with all due respect. I did feel like US were slightly favorites headed into this match, and with the Balogun news, I favored the United States to take this one. But Belgium showed that they're not here to play around, and even though their golden generation is at its end with Lukaku and De Bruyne, they could still deliver a nice performance here, and who knows what will happen against Spain.
Well, for all the talk of their sluggish start to the tournament, they've now scored the second most goals in the tournament. France lead the way on 14, Belgium one behind on 13. Are they the ones to finally crack Spain, Lewis?
In all honesty, no. I don't back Belgium at all to get a result against Spain. Listen, I appreciate they've got a 4-1 win against the USA today. I think it's quite a flattering scoreline. As Yassine touched on it there, I was following Iran during the group stages. I didn't think that Belgium were impressive in the slightest. I don't even think they were that impressive today. I thought the USA were really poor, and I thought their goalkeeper chucked the game away for them in about the 65th minute. So, listen, I like the storyline. You've got Belgium who've scored the most goals in the tournament versus Spain who haven't conceded yet, but I just don't see Belgium doing it. No chance.
Well, the winner of Spain and Belgium will meet France or Morocco. Morocco was the first nation through to the quarterfinals, compliments of a 3-0 win against co-host Canada, and nearly all brackets had France progressing past Paraguay. So they did so, 1-0 in the end. Paraguay's physical and defensive approach, it raised a few eyebrows. A 70th minute penalty from Kylian Mbappe was enough for France to progress. Can you see Morocco adopting similar tactics, Yassine?
When it comes to defeating France, I fully believe that if you're going to do it, you have to play a cynical game. And Paraguay did it, but they lacked what I feel like Morocco has got in offensive talent. And in establishing their play, we'll see whether they can beat France or not. I do think France will be too strong for them, but we saw that Paraguay could keep them almost at bay. So we'll see what Morocco can manage to do on their offensive side. So a quite intriguing game, and I like the cynical play that Morocco can show up with. They're not afraid to be the villain, and I feel like you have to be the villain against France if you're going to beat them.
I feel like they've been cynical enough. They had 4 players booked against Canada, so that might curtail their aggression somewhat, maybe. These two met in the semi-final 4 years ago, guys. It was France who emerged 2-0 winners, as you know, but they did so off 39% possession. Morocco are more than capable of holding their own, aren't they, Lewis?
Yeah, fully agreed. I mean, listen, if there's one African team, in my opinion, that can finally win this World Cup, it is Morocco. I think not enough gets talked about their fantastic recruitment strategy over the last few years. I mean, we saw against Brazil, right? They're the first team ever to field a starting 11 of players that weren't even born in the country. I think that their fans are fantastic as well. I've been lucky to go to a couple Morocco games whilst I've been over here in the States. Listen, if there's one team that can bring that firepower, that atmosphere, that energy, I think it is Morocco. But France's front line, Elise, Mbappe, Dembele, if they're on form, it doesn't matter how good Morocco play, France will go through.
Over the other side of the draw, guys, we enjoyed arguably the game of the tournament so far. England subjected Mexico to its first loss at Azteca Stadium since September 2013 and third ever, thanks to some Jude Bellingham brilliance. Harry Kane's 6th of the tournament came from the spot in a 3-2 win. We'll get, I promise Yassine, to Haaland and Norway shortly. A brace for Bellingham, though, and for all the talk about Kane, Jude's putting together quite the tournament himself, isn't he, Yassine?
he's a wonderful, wonderful football player, and I feel like it's been popular to maybe critique him a little bit too much, because for me, whenever I see Jude Bellingham play, I see a star at work, and hopefully the star won't shine too bright against Norway.
What did you make of the game, Lewis? In so many respects, Mexico were on top, but ultimately a defeat that ends their tournament.
Yeah, listen, hats off to Mexico. I thought they were fantastic. Having said that, before the game started, all of this talk about the Azteca, the altitude, the atmosphere, I never quite doubted England, though. I thought England were phenomenal. Bellingham, absolutely fantastic. Condolences to Mexico. Their fans have been fantastic. Their team have played great. But I thought England were deserved winners in the end.
Yeah, certainly added a lot of colour and flair to the tournament, hasn't it, with the co-host Mexico involved until this stage. So it was every bit a World Cup classic. A couple of moments did sour things for England. Jordan Henderson, interestingly, didn't even play in the game, but he got yellow carded on the sidelines and then went from wonder wall to wonder fall post-game, tripping over the advertising boards while celebrating. It was a comical incident, but with serious consequences, unfortunately, Yasin.
Yeah, that's a tough one to talk about, because honestly, it's never good to see a person get injured quite the way that Henderson did. But yeah, bar the injury, it was funny until you saw the seriousness of it, because I didn't see it until I heard an interview with Harry Kane, who had lost even more of his voice than I had after Norway's game, because he sounded like Mickey Mouse, and I found that hilarious. And then we saw the effect and what had happened to Henderson, and hopefully he'll have a nice recovery, because you never want to see that happen to a player, I feel like.
Lewis, I'll get you involved here too. Have you ever seen anything like that?
Not in my memory, no. But yeah, listen, it's pretty unfortunate. I feel like if it was going to happen to one player, it was going to be Henderson. There was a lot of stick around Tuchel's decision to bring him to the tournament with his age, playing at Brentford. England had a lot of options in that position, like Adam Wharton at Crystal Palace. As Yasin said, my feelings go out to him, but no, I've never seen an injury quite like that.
There have been some great clips of other players feigning injury as well to Thomas Tuchel, who has been taken with the seriousness of it all. They clearly have a good bond there at the moment, and let's hope they can keep the good times rolling. So on top of that, Kwanzaa was red carded for a pretty ordinary challenge, it must be said. Who knows now if they're going to let him play against Norway, Lewis? That's the problem with that Balogun decision from earlier on. Now, every red card, previously we knew what the result of that was. Now it becomes a game of politics and public debate, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're bang on. As a football fan, do I want to see Balogun sent off for that decision? No. Do I like the idea that he was brought back in for this match against Belgium? Yes, I do. But the question of politics comes up. The question of consistency in decision making comes up as well. Yeah, it's just opened a serious can of worms. I don't want to see players miss out on knockout fixtures, but I'd like to see some consistency across the board as well. So is Kwanzaa going to come back into the squad? Is he going to come back into the team? I don't think Donald Trump is going to be ringing up Infantino to pull in favours for Kwanzaa to get his red card rescinded. So, yeah.
No, I agree with those sentiments. I think on the Balogun front, we ended up in the right spot the wrong way. Now, the England-Norway quarter-final will be on Saturday in Miami. 2 late goals from star striker Erling Haaland set the win up for the Norwegians to shatter Brazil's hopes of a 6th World Cup. I'm sure you're shattered, Yasin. Break down the performance for me, please.
If we're talking in particular Erling Braut Haaland, he just has an invincible feel to him as of this point in time. It feels like whenever he gets an opportunity, he will take it. And even when he didn't have chances, you saw him just bully Gabriel. And I like Arsenal in the Premier League, but seeing Gabriel struggle as much as he did with Erling Braut Haaland, for once, it was a nice watch to see. But Bar Holland, if we remove him from the occasion as well, having the goalkeeper who's often been scrutinized, Örjan Nyland, put in one of the greatest goalkeeper performances, or Ødegaard running the midfield, and Norway having 60% possession against Brazil. We often say that Brazil plays Joga Bonito, but in this game, Norway played Joga Bonito, and hopefully they'll keep on doing it all the way until the end.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting. You touch on the Premier League. It'll be interesting to see whether that's an advantage for England or a disadvantage, because seemingly no rival club has worked out a way to stifle him until this point. So that, by the way, for what it's worth, Brazil's earliest exit from the tournament since their last 16 departure at the hands of Argentina back in 1990. And it also marks the end of Neymar's amazing international career. 4 tournaments, 15 appearances, 9 goals. He's one of the greats, isn't he, Lewis?
He sure is. I think similarly to the question you asked earlier about how do I view Ronaldo's World Cup career, I think we could extrapolate that and look at Neymar's entire career. As a football fan, who doesn't love to watch Neymar play? He's skillful, he's majestic, he creates magic on the pitch. But I think I stand with many football fans when I say I'm left wanting a bit more from his career. So, yeah, it's a shame the way that he's bowed out.
I feel like injuries have cruelled us on that front. It is sad to see these champions go, but we're in good hands. The brace against Brazil takes Haaland to 7 alongside Mbappe and Messi, and what a golden boot race we have on our hands. So Mbappe technically leads the way by virtue of 2 assists. That's the tiebreaker. Messi and Haaland don't have any of them as yet, but Messi also hasn't played a round of 16 game. He'll be hoping to add to his tally against Egypt. Harry Kane is on 6 and a host of others on 4. Just to show how prolific, guys, this race has been, we'll have a look at the past 10 Golden Boot winners and their totals. As you've just seen, 7 goals in this tournament has you in a 3-way tie in the round of 16 stage. 7 would have been enough to win 8 of the past 10 Golden Boot trophies. Only Ronaldo's 8 for Brazil in 02 and Mbappe's 8 in Qatar would be safe. The record, for those wondering, by the way, could still be safe. It's held by Just Fontaine, who scored 13 goals in just 6 games back in 1958, including 4 against West Germany. How many Yassine is it going to take to win the Golden Boot this year?
Hopefully it will be 14 with Erling Braut Haaland, but from a realistic point of view, I do think we'll see double digits. And my favorite to win it all will likely be Kylian Mbappe, who I think will reach double digits, but I don't think he'll reach Just Fontaine. I think he'll reach around 11 or 12 goals, just about missing out on the record.
Okay. Lewis, we'll quickly come to you. A name, who wins the Golden Boot?
I'm going to second that, Yassine. Kylian Mbappe.
Okay, so we've got 2 rounds of 16 to go, guys. We've got the reigning champions Argentina and Messi looking to add to that tally up against Egypt. Argentina were pushed by Cabo Verde, and Egypt had their own challenges against my Socceroos, eventually killing off Australia in a penalty shootout. Can Egypt cause the upset, Lewis?
Yes, they can. I went to Iran versus Egypt live. I've watched all of Egypt's matches. I backed them to get an upset against Argentina. I feel like Argentina have used up all their luck. I thought they were lucky to go through against Cape Verde the way they did. I think we're in for an upset.
That would knock a few out, I can tell you that much. Switzerland and Colombia is the other fixture. So who do you have booking a quarter-final ticket, Yassine?
One of the biggest revelations of the World Cup has been Manzambi of Switzerland. But I've read that both Manzambi and Vargas, 2 of their most important players, are doubtful for today's game. And that edges it for Colombia, who I think have looked solid. They don't have quite the striking option of like a team like Norway, but I do fancy Colombia's chances in this one.
Love your work. That'll do us for another show. We'll see you soon, guys. Give us a wave. Our thanks to Yassine and Lewis, and a reminder to everyone who's keeping track of their bracket at WorldPlayHQ. The points double every single round. Even if you rank quite low now, that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be where you finish. There's still plenty to play for later in the tournament, so make sure you keep up with how your bracket's going. Thanks for joining us on WorldPlayHQ. We'll see you next time.